David Reynolds in the booth with Alex Ball.
Hi, how's it going, guys?
We're here for round 2, game 1, Concertar here game day, and it's going to be an Abzan mirror match between Steve Robertson and Oisin Gaffney. Alex, what do you think we can expect to see in this mirror match?
Well, there's two ways the games can go. As you can see here, the first couple of turns are going to be quite slow, playing Scrylands or the Tri-lands from Concertar here. So even though Oisin had a second land, he's still not playing anything. So the games can go either extremely grindy and going very long with players exchanging life totals with rhinos and the board getting quite clogged up. Or if one player manages to get ahead quite early on, they can keep that advantage a lot of the time. So what we might see is if both players get wingmate rocks or siege rhinos not being able to attack into each other. And so one way that stalemate might break is with a Sorin, given the +1, given like if one player has 5/5 rhinos, it'll be the opponent's 4/5 rhinos, and same with wingmate rock. So the games can go a couple of different ways, but I think like Sorin is definitely one of the key ways that you can break through. Same with Abzan Charm, just being able to break through your opponent's defenses. So
interesting. And we're seeing these are both mid-range decks. Do you think that an aggro build of Abzan would be able to get an advantage over its mid-range counterpart in a mirror match?
It's debatable. I think if it's on the play, I think absolutely. But there's a big difference between being on the play, playing turn 2 Fleece Mane and turn 3 Anafenza, whereas if you're on the draw and your opponent has a Siege Rhino, the turn you play Anafenza, it just holds it back completely.
Yeah,
I think the aggro version is probably a better build of the deck. Like Caryatids are great at the start of the game, but as the game goes along, it's the worst top deck that you can see.
More of a liability than anything else.
Yeah, we saw Steve there play wingmate rock for no value, but here, thankfully, Oisin hasn't played anything that can block it, so it's actually going to be able to get in there. Normally, you'll find that your wingmate will just die before you actually have a chance to attack with it. So
yeah, this color combination has a lot of removal in it.
Yeah, as you can see there with the Hero's Downfall. I think most of the decks run 4 Downfalls, 4 Abzan Charms, some number of other ends, and some number. We can see Banishing Light there on top of Oisin's deck. Although with the Courser gone, we shouldn't. Don't reveal Oisin. Good.
Okay. So on to Oisin's turn. He'll decide what he wants to deploy. He's got a couple of Planeswalkers in hand.
Yeah, I can see in a Ajani, Mentor of Heroes, he has the Banishing Light there. He could use the Banishing Light on the Wingmate, although that runs the risk then of Steve being able to later utter end it and manage to get the raid trigger, even though he missed it the first time, if you can kind of set up that board.
Yeah, as it will re-enter the battlefield.
Oh, I think Oisin has a Nissa. It's hard to tell, but yeah, he has a Nissa there.
Yeah.
Which I think it would be pretty good on this board. Like the Caryatids aren't blocking, and even if they do, they'll still trample over for 1. But yeah, I think he's going to Banishing Light the Wingmate Rock there. Yeah. See, like this kind of board appears all the time. Just Caryatid staring down, and players not really doing much. Just kind of trading 1 for 1. So the games will almost always go quite long and quite grindy.
Yeah. Between black spells and white spells, both players are able to keep the boards pretty clear. Yeah,
and like it's not unusual for if the board gets particularly stalled up for the life totals to get quite obscene. Okay, does Steve only have 1 card in hand?
Looks like it.
He's gone down quite low. I think Oisin still has a couple left over. He might just have a couple piled up. Oh, Elspeth's a good one though.
3 soldier tokens.
Alright, so Elspeth takes up to 5. Nissa is pretty good on the backswing here though. If Steve is indeed out of cards, which yes he is, Nissa will get 1 land to go over at least for 1. And he can have a Vigilant land. the obnoxious dice there. Yeah, Ajani can plus on the land to make it a 5/5 Vigilance first strike here. So that can be quite nasty. But we'll see what Oisin plays now. Oh, and Steve is writing that down. Oh no, he played it anyways. So does Steve have a mulligan then this game, do you think? He doesn't seem to have played that many spells. He played 2 Caryatids, a Downfall, a Wingmate,
Rock for 4.
And the Elspeth.
He's made 6 land drops.
Yeah, he's either flooding out. I'm not sure if he mulliganed though. I think this is the Nissa.
Yeah, I think Nissa definitely a better play than Mentor of Heroes, which is the other card in Oisin's hand.
Yeah, I'm a fan of making a 4/4, giving a +1/+1 from the Ajani and hammering into the Elspeth.
Yeah. Vigilance, Lifelink, and Trample. This land will have the key.
And First Strike.
And First Strike.
Yeah, the +1's quite nasty on Ajani. You could also put counters on all of them, which would pump Nissa up, but it would also make the carry to its 1/4s. So Steve will have no profitable attacks if he does attack with the soldiers. But no, he's just going for the +1, I believe.
And attacks in.
Yep.
Coming at Elspeth.
Yeah, so Steve wants to keep that around. So what Steve can do, he can minus to blow up the land, but unless he draws something, well, he can't even. No, yeah, it should be on 3.
Yeah, 3.
Unless he draws something quite spectacular, though, the Nissa will just take over this game.
Yeah, it's always a tricky situation as well, where you're essentially trading your Elspeth for just one creature on your opponent's side. It's not exactly where you want to be.
Like in some matchups, it's quite profitable if they have a Stormbreath Dragon. It's quite difficult for Abzan sometimes struggles with Stormbreath Dragon, just because the protection from white protects it from 3/4 of the removal. Downfall is the only one really. So 1/1 there is okay. It's just here with the Nissa being able to keep a generation advantage. I don't think Steve will be difficult to make headway, because he needs to deal with the land first of all, then Nissa, and even when he does that, he then has an Ajani to deal with.
Yep.
And he still has the second Ajani in his hand that he can't cast, however.
And it looks like he has a Rakshasa Death Dealer on top of his library.
Oh, yeah, I didn't spot that.
So Steve is just going to cash in the Elspeth and pass the turn.
So like Rakshasa is interesting here. It can, like, sometimes it'll just regenerate to provide a repeatable blocker. But if Steve wants to go down that plan, he'll have to and keep it alive. And by that I mean to not have Trample come over. He'll have to put his entire turn into doing it. So I'm not sure Rakshasa is actually that good on this board. And all the while Oisin is gaining life. And this is what we're talking about. The life totals can just get quite extreme. Even if Steve can deal with the Nissa and the Ajani, and then the Ajani Mentor of Heroes is back up, he'll have this life advantage to deal with then. But
what did you think about that line of play now? Personally, I think that an Ajani minus might have been a good idea there, as a Nissa ultimate pretty much wins the game, and Oisin can see that there's no Hero's Downfall coming down the line. There's just another Rakshasa Death Dealer on top of Steve's life.
Is Nissa ultimate's at 7, is it?
Believe so, yeah. I believe it's a minus.
Yeah, so had he done it twice, he'd be able to ultimate Nissa next turn, which would almost certainly win the game. Like, post board, these decks have access to End Hostilities, so I don't like ultimating into that. But here, yeah, I think I would agree with you. He's probably playing just quite conservatively. If, for example, he takes that line, they're not going to have haste. And if Steve then top decks another Elspeth, which I believe he runs either 2 or 3, his entire land base will just go away then.
Yeah.
So it depends. What's he debating? Did you catch a glimpse of what the other card was?
I did not. He's keeping it pretty close to the chest.
One of them's still a Ajani, but
one of them would still be a Ajani, yeah.
Oh, is that an Ajani ultimate?
Yes,
okay.
Ultimate's Ajani Steadfast.
So,
that's for an emblem, isn't it?
Yeah, so what the emblem does is, I can't remember word for word, but anytime you take damage from a particular source, it reduces it to 1.
Ah.
So if you're attacked by 10 2/2s, you'll just take 10 instead. Each source will hit you for 1, I believe.
Interesting.
I don't have much experience with the ultimate. I think that's the first time I've ever seen it. You don't play that Ajani for the ultimate.
Yeah, his -2 seems to me like that Ajani's real strength, but we didn't see it used here in this game.
But here now, I find it very difficult to see Steve coming back from this. I would imagine this Ajani is going to. Well, like he can use like Johnny. This is Johnny. Like both of Johnny's have 2+1, so he can either search up an aura, creature, or a planeswalker, or knowing that Steve has no cards in hand, he can make that land a 7/7, and get in there. So yeah, so that's what he's doing.
All three of the Johnny's +1/+1 counters come down on the one land.
So this is
doesn't have vigilance anymore.
However, this is like it's still a safe attack just because Nissa can now make the planes Oshin has there into another 4/4. But Steve can block with the Courser, the Rakshasha, and pump enough to kill the land. But it's not exactly great for Steve. He will then lose both his Courser and Rakshasha. So he has to debate between taking a bunch of damage or losing a lot of his creatures, neither of which are great on this board. So he just takes it. Going down to 6, is that? Yes. Yeah, I have a feeling we'll be going on to game 2 in a moment here. But
I believe Oshin has a Bile Blight in hand.
Yeah.
If he can find a good place to deploy that, he may be able to catch out the Rakshasa Death Dealers.
Because I think it's a second on the top, isn't it? For Steve? Yeah.
So we'll probably see that come down next turn.
Steve can just pump both of them past that. But is that a third one? Yeah, I don't think. This isn't looking good for Steve. He'll have blockers for days, but I don't think it'll matter.
Yeah.
Like the trample from Nissa's lands is so relevant. As if making 4/4s wasn't good enough. So what is Steve thinking? Like his only play is to play the Rakshasha and pass it back.
Yeah. Although playing the Rakshasa, I mean, pumping the Rakshasa that's on the field already will produce as much toughness as playing the Rakshasa that's already up there.
Well, if he plays the Rakshasha, he will still have 3 activations from either of them because he has the 2 Caryatids as well. You can see the shuffle effect from fetches being put to use now. Steve does not want to draw the 3rd Rakshasha, so he's getting rid of that to hopefully draw a better card next turn. So Steve will go down to 5 here.
The way I see it is if there are 2 Rakshasa Death Dealers on the board, a Bile Blight from Oshin reduces the overall toughness on Steve's side of the board by 6.
Yeah, I think that combined with Trample.
When he's only on 6 life, could make all the difference.
Yeah. So Steve unfortunately shuffled away into Urborg, followed by Temple. He should not be on 7 there, though. However, he's actually on 6. He didn't pay the life for the Windswept Teeth there. Hopefully they'll notice. If not, I don't think it'll matter. But yeah, he should be on 6 there. Yeah, so he passes back. What did he draw? It's very difficult to tell.
When he cracked the Windswept Teeth, the forest he got off of that. With that
sure, of course.
Yeah. So
Yes.
That forest plus Orberg.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct.
Orborg, kind of a brilliant fixer for these tricolour decks if one of the colours is black.
Yeah, and it's very helpful, as you can see, he has a mana confluence there, so now he's able to just tap that for black and not have to worry about paying life for it. And it functions with the fetches as well.
Yeah,
the Urborg came.
Fetch lands.
And every point of life matters for Steve here. He has a good bit of toughness, but he's facing down too much trample. But 1 life may matter in staying alive just to get to an extra draw. I'm not sure what saves him here, though. As we said already, an Elspeth can deal with Oshin's 4/4s, but he still just has 3 more lands he can just make.
That's true, and he is yet to activate a Jani Mentor of Heroes for the turn.
Yeah.
So that will be 3 +1/+1 counters coming down, either distributed between his 2 land creatures or all just lumped onto 1. Let's see. Turns another planes into a 7/7.
I'm not sure if I like making. So if he turns one of his forests into, or one of his lands into another 4/4, I'm not sure if I don't prefer putting a counter on each of his lands. So he'll have a 5/5, an 8/8, and a 5/5. Just that way, the fifth point of power and toughness, Steve is then forced to put a third blocker or a third activation of a Rakshasa on, in order to actually kill them, and to stop the toughness being forced through. But there may be much of muchness, but I'm quite a fan of going wide in this situation, and spreading out the power.
Yeah, the 4/4 is pretty easy to take on.
It is a Bilebite is the last card in his hand, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a Bilebite, alright. We'll see how Steve wants to distribute his mana now, or do you just make the Rakshasa as big as the Rakshasa could possibly be?
Well, currently, if he blocks like this, he's still taking. Oh no, there we go. Okay, so he's taking one. Okay, so he's going to have to pump the Rakshasa. I assume he's going to pump it all 3 times and then regenerate. Yeah, I believe that's what he did. So now he will take 1 damage from the bottom Caryatid there. You can really see the power of Nissa here. It just produces so much advantage, so much value. Like we've over the past couple of years in Standard, it's really a hallmark of a good planeswalker has been able to leave something behind after you play it. And even if Nissa just produces 1 4/4, she's still done her job. 5 mana for a 4 trample, is still a reasonable rate. But he's now played. I believe that's lethal now. Yep, that is exactly lethal.
That is lethal. Okay, pretty good play by Oisin there to finish off the game, and we will move along to game number 2.